Now, most IEMs that you get, you're stuck with one kind of sound. But some IEMs come with tuning filters, giving you different sound signatures, all within one IEM. So, what do you think about that? Because in this video, we're looking at the Astrotec AM850 MK2. What a name. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. Astrotec AM850. Now the price of this guy is $169. Comes in a fairly large box, as you can see right there. Let's have a look without any further ado. Let's have a look at the earphones. And there they are, and they've got these beautiful aluminium alloy shells. Astrotec is one of these brands that is steadfastly sticking with the MMCX connector. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, I do prefer 2 pins. That's just a personal preference. You might be different. Let me know in the comments down below which type of connector do you prefer? Do you prefer 2-pin or MMCX? But having said that, I love these sort of miniature half-sized MMCX connectors that Astrotec does. I think they're really cool. Let's have a look at quick look at the cable. So it's kind of pretty ordinary silver-plated copper. Oh, I've put a knot in it there, but I've put 2 knots in it. In terms of handling, it handles pretty well. It's nice and supple. It is a little bit prone to tangling, but overall I think it's a nice quality cable. And we'll have a look at these shells, because look at that. I mean, Astrotec is known for having excellent build quality, maybe over engineering a lot of their gear, over complicating things. But with that said, you know, these shells, they are just beautiful, all rounded edges. So the shells are just gorgeous with their matte finish. You can see this little raised area on the faceplate here with a nice pattern on it, couple of vents there, MMCX connectors. The nozzles, as I mentioned, these IEMs have tuning nozzles and they just untwist like that. Very simple. And you can change them around quite easily. The machining is all really good, so the threading and everything is really nice. But beautiful in terms of build quality, and the cable is pretty good. Comfort is also good, but you know, we're all here to know how they sound, so we're going to get right into that. First of all, I will say these have got a 10mm dynamic driver. It's the LCP diaphragm, or liquid crystal polymer diaphragm. And this is an efficient IEM, so it doesn't require any extra amplification. However, I do find that this IEM benefits from a warmer source due to its neutral bright tonality. Even with the Tide filters, which are the bass ones, the overall presentation is fairly lean and kind of bright. So I'm not going to talk too much about the difference between the filters. What I'll do is I'll throw up the graph here, and you can see that the difference between the 3 filters is pretty minimal, and that is the case with a lot of sort of tunable IEMs. But anyway, for disclosure, I spent most of my time with the Tide filters, which are the what they call the bass ones, which doesn't really enhance the bass. What it does is it slightly attenuates the upper mid-range and the treble. So in terms of bass, the bass is tight and slightly above neutral in quantity. It's a fast bass with good definition and a speedy decay. Although it isn't boosted much, the bass still has good weight, but is definitely nowhere near bass head level. I would consider the sub-bass rumble to be fairly light but sufficient. It's ample. The mid-bass has a moderate impact and is enough to get your toes tapping. Due to its speed and its control, there's little bleeding into the mid-range. Overall, I find it a pleasing bass. I think it is quite nice. And then in the mid-range, the lower mid-range inherits some warmth from the bass, but you can see it's a fairly linear transition from the bass to the lower mid, so there isn't a lot of separation there, and that can affect male vocals. They don't sort of stand out all that much. There is a large peak in the upper mid-range, which brings electric guitars and certain instruments to the forefront. This sometimes has the effect of pushing back the vocals, especially male voices. A peak around 2 kHz, followed by a dip and then another peak at 5 kHz, makes the upper mids shouty on some recordings, and even more so with the black and the gold filters here. It also gives snares and toms a nice clean attack and good definition, but it often borders on sharpness. And then we move on to the treble, and the AM850 MK2's treble is detailed, but it's uneven. It's made up of a series of peaks and dips that have the dual effect of smoothing some parts while pushing others forward. The result is a treble that's unpredictable, and it might sound subdued on some songs and harsh on others. I find it manageable with the grey tide filters here, but not so much with the neutral and the air filters. With the latter two, these ones, there isn't really sufficient warmth to counterbalance the highs, and things start to sound splashy and just bright. On the upside, the treble has ample air and adds plenty of clarity to the overall sound. But overall, I think the tuning needs some work. In terms of soundstage and technicalities, the soundstage does have above average dimensions. The sound is fairly spacious, especially with these two filters here, the neutral and the air ones. But when the crash cymbals and the electric guitars ramp up, things deteriorate fairly quickly into a glaring haze. The imaging is pretty good, and instrument separation is average, but again, that will depend on the recording, because when that upper mid-range and the treble comes in, like crescendos in music, and you get the crash cymbals coming in, or a chorus with electric guitars coming in, things get lost in this sort of treble haze, and that affects the overall resolution. So to sum up, the Astrotec AM850 MK2 or Mark II, it's an interesting addition to Astrotec's mid-range lineup. Look, I've been in this IEM game for years, literally, and I don't even remember the original AM850, so I don't know why Astrotec just didn't give this IEM a new name, something that's easy off the mouth, you know what I'm saying, easy off the tongue, instead of the Astrotec AM850 Mark II. It's such a mouthful. There's no need for it, in my opinion, but I could be wrong, probably wrong. But anyway, it's got these beautiful, attractive, robust shells. The build quality is excellent, but when it comes to sound, I find that the performance is a little underwhelming for something in its price range, $169. There are many good options, in that price range. There's some promise of good things here, but for now, I will wait and see if there's a Mark III in the future. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, ParFam audiophile style. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you later.